Okay. Okay, let's go. Parshas Chukas Balak. I don't think we'll get up to Balak yet. So it's a parsha by Yavo b'nei Yisrael called Ha'eda Midbar Tzin b'Chodesh Harishon. Ha'yeshev ha'am b'Kodesh v'tamah sham Miriam b'tikaver sham. So when exactly did this happen? This is Chodesh Harishon from what, when? So the Ibn Ezra says that the Chodesh Harishon Shnas Harboim. We're talking about here. This is almost this is the 40th year. Even though last week was the miracle, but it was this is year 40 already after the midbar. V'hinei ein b'teira klal shu ma'isa o nevuah rak b'shana rishana u b'shnas harboim. So it's good service in it. That there's no, the Torah is not, you're not going to find it. There's no such thing. So for 38 years, the Torah is not garrison at all. You understand? We're only any mice in the Torah is talking about either b'shnas the shana rishana or the shnas harboim. Very interesting zach. And that's Grada Rashi says Kol Eda. When it says that the Kol Eda Midbar Tzin, the ganze Bnei Yisrael Kol Eda Midbar Tzin, Rashi says Kol Eda Hashlema Shekvar Meisu Meisei Midbar V'lo Pirshu Mitachayim Ve'elu Pirshu L'Chayim. And these are the members of Klal Yisrael that were Pirshu L'Chayim. So it's very interesting to Zach. It's beautiful. It's like
from here till the end, until they go there. It's all
It's all any meister. That's what we say. The Behar-Bechukotai is also asking to this. And you see, Rashi doesn't say that every meister. There's no way, but when the Behar-Bechukotai brings it down, also like that. That there's no such thing. Whatever the Torah is talking about, so either the year Rishana or year 40. Yeah, it's interessant. Very good to listen. So anyway, I'll call upon him. So over here, the Rashi says in Pasuk Aleph, Perek Chof, Pasuk Aleph, Rashi says the Eda Shlema. I just read it to you. Shekvar Meisa Midbar ve'elu Pirshu L'Chayim. That's called the Eda. We call Eda. What's the call the Eda? Kol Eda means the ganze Eda means they were all. These were no part of the people that were from the Mesa Midbar. Now, we know later on it also says such a lashon. Vayisem mikodesh vayavo b'nei Yisrael kol Eda hur hahar. That's where Aaron Akai was lifter. So very interesting to Zach. So what does Rashi over here say? Kol ha'eda kulam shleimim v'amdim le'ikonis le'eretz la'aretz shelo hoya behen echad me'osam shenigzra gezer aleim Shagar koluk meisei midbar ve'elu me'osa l'shakos behen chayim kulchem hayom. So that's a possibly a Parshas in Veschanon. That's involved over there in Perek Vov. So atam atvekim ba'adonai Elohechem chayim kulchem hayom. So what's the difference between the two? Is that Rashi is interesting to Zach over here. Over here, Rashi is talking about the tzibur. The tzibur that we're talking. The Kol Eda. The tzibur there were no parts. There were no part of the people that may say midbar in there. They were already all they were all nifter already. That's called Kol Eda. Over here, Rashi seems to say on the individuals that kulam shleimim. It means that there was madrega, and he says at the end, these are, like Bali madrega or whatever. So it's very interesting to say. So why is Rashi Mefarish difference the same. Kol Eida. So just not. This is even the same parak. This is pasuk Chal Beis, and that's pasuk Aleph. So. I just think it's kedai that you should understand that this is an extremely difficult parsha. This parsha from the the Mei Meriva is like on a shiur of pshatim, and what was the chet, what was not the chet of Moshe Rabbeinu. Chaim HaKadosh brings down 10 different pshatim, literally 10 different pshatim, and he slugs them. He says that he says the Ramban knocks out 3 of them, and the Abed Ezra knocks out 3 of them, and then and he's knocking out the others. He says that interessante Zach. So it's a very difficult. So I don't want to get involved in it. I like it. Not involved. I mean, it means it's kedai to see what everybody says, but from this wegen, it's not a parsha that you get a real tfisa shleima in it and stuff like that, because this is we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was so I think what we'll do is we'll try to see the parameters of what the Chumash is really is saying. And go from there. We're not gonna qualify exactly what but it's kedai to understand exactly a little bit to get a feel for what's going on over here. Chaim says Parshas Zu Rabu Alehu Kol Mefarshei HaTorah. It's that's what he says. It's the Kol Mefarshei HaTorah. And he says, "He's nakdim lohovin masha hama haisa shegugosah shamosha ben yizeh asher haya sibelik zeiroso." So this is a very chomodik izlach. Moshe Rabbeinu was not zocher so because of this. But isi shenemru asara drachim beinyan b'divrei mefarshei HaTorah ve'ein heina bekitzvus. So then he goes on, he lists all 10. Then he says at the end, he says, "Hinei kol asara drachim eina motziim." It's very cute. Not one of this is the chavas motive in the chavas emes. But say lomad mashaton ramban al shloshim and I told you v'dachosim mashaton Rabbi Avram Even Ezra al shloshim acherim v'dachosim v'ani toin al lashar. So that's what I'm saying. This is not who are we? Who are me to machri or have a preference or something like that? It's very. And then this is we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was one of the most. It was. I told you that Nebuchadnezzar Chaim says that there were only 2 people that ever existed that had the neshama inside of them completely, the nishmas Adam were completely inside them. And one was Moshe Rabbeinu, and one was Adam Arishan Kadam Echet. Otherwise, the neshama is hovering on top of a person, and there's netzotzos which go into the person sometimes, whatever. But Moshe was the Shekhinah with the best Moshe. Moshe has Abdi. I mean, this is Yeresim Medaber Moshe. It's the madregas upon him, the madregas of Spakal Yami. It's beyond our saga. This is the most perfect human being that ever existed. So again, we're going to go and go say it's a difficult. It's a difficult endeavor. We'll lose this for the Rishonim, for the Kedoshim, but this, but okay. So that's Ben. But that's it. So what we do see from here, what I do see, let's see, what I do see from the Chumash is, again, we asked the Kasha. Kol Eid over here means that the Tzibur was the whole Tzibur Shalom means that they didn't have part of the base in Midbar. And over here in 20 psukim later, the Kol Eid means that there were Shleimim, there were Ruim, there were Muchant and Nichnas La'aretz, and the Pshara. So they're the ones who sense Chaim kulchem hayom. So it sounds like that the individuals were on a madrega. So when a tiny like this, that is, what's pshat? That over here we're talking about before we're talking about the Mei Meriva. Whatever happened over there, whatever happened, it was before the Mei Meriva. So the pshat then.
Didn't you have a geschmack of pshat?
Yeah, about the seller, the Evan Yisrael.
The what?
You said you gave a shiur
One time, I don't remember.
The seller that was you couldn't discern.
Right.
It was the same by Yaakov, the Evan Yisrael. I think.
Oh yeah. Good shot. Okay, well, we can all go home now. I say no shot. This is a fresh zach, This I think it's a bit. Again, I'm just throwing out ideas. It's whatever. But over here, the pshat is, so over here we're talking about the first one is when he came into Midbar Sin called the Eido. So the pshat is so. There was no birur yet of the madregas of the tzibur, the madrega of the tzibur. So over there, if there's no birur of the madregas of the tzibur, so the pshat said, and when it says kol ha'eda, we're not going to say that, even though we're talking about the Dordei and stuff like that, but kol ha'eda, the ganze eda. So the pshat, so Rashi explains that we're talking about over here. There was nothing to talk about. They were all a tzibur which was no part of the Meisei Midbar. Masha Enkein over here is the after the Meisei Meriva. So in the Meisei Meriva, and you see by the Meisei Meriva, there was, what was the meduba over there? Was the shaylas what was geschehen by Moshe and Aaron? Something happened there that there was a time that they were not allowed to go into Eretz Yisrael. That's for sure. That Lahamantim be the Hagdi Sheni, so whatever it was. But there was a taina on them over there. But on Klai Yisrael, there was no taina. There was no pana. You don't find any kind of onish, any kind of taina on them. Even though it sounds like if you read the Chumash with him, they were complaining and they were whatever, you call on Moshe, and they made a reef and stuff like that, but you don't find any kind of consequences over there. So they came out, Klai Yisrael came out, they were on top. They were tzaddikim, they were kulam anoshim tzaddikim, that they were. So that's why Rashi, when it says later on the kol ha'eda, that eda was taka after the ma'aseh. The pshas, you see, there was no ramifications. And no unshim in terms of the tzibur. So the pshas, that's why Rashi says Chaim kulchem hayom. Of them state the Chaim kulchem hayom. So that's what I wanted to say. Like what we do see, that I do see.
So what was taka pshat that the Eda wasn't nichshel? Why were they taka zakai? Even though they were.
All right. So there's a pashtus to it, and obviously there's a hamaka to it and stuff like that. But we'll get to it. The pashtus is that like Rashi says in the beginning that to be tzemeya is the worst type of meat. Is like the worst thing. Like there wasn't like they wanted the Pepsi Cola or something like that. They were poshet,
but you don't find that like by the mon, they was just shemati esluna is bnei Yisrael. You don't find over the Hashem's maskim. That
sure, he told him to give him water.
To give him water, but he doesn't
bought
say
them
like
salad even. He told him to give. He told him it was mali. Sure, they have to get it. They have to get water. Water you have to get. I once told you a long time ago also that the pshat is that you see when they asked for basa, they came into Aaron. When they came for water, they came to Aaron and Moshe, because even Moshe even need basa. So anyway, so that's again. So I just the point of what we're trying to discuss tonight is that I want to bring out whatever we do see forget to be machriya, but what we do see. Let's see. Okay.
What? Oh.
Okay. Yeah, it says in Pasuk Yud here. V'yakilu Moshe v'Aaron es hakol al pnei hasola v'yamar lahem shimu no hamorim hamin hasola zeh notzi lechem mayim. So, okay, that's very, So Avadi, this what Vayakilu Moshe v'Aaron Esakol. That's Apida Tzivu Hashem, which this is Pasuk Yod and Pasuk Ches. Kach v'Daber Hashem al Moshe leimor Kach es Hamata v'Hakel eseidah. So that's what the Rebbeinu Shem told him. The Rebbeinu Shem told him that they came and they kind of we need water, which is wichtig. They did. They need water. They need water. V'Hakel eseidah ato v'Aaron achicha v'dibartam el esela. This is all the Tzivoy. Leinehem v'nosen beimo v'hotzeiso lehem mayim min asela v'hishkisa se'eda v'esbirum. So because of this Sivoy, Moshe said v'yakilu Moshe v'Aaron as a call in Pasuk Yud al pnei hasola v'yamar lehem shimu no amarim. So what happened? They came, they asked, and then all of a sudden Moshe Rabbeinu did what the Rebbeinu Shem says. V'yamar lehem shimu no amarim hamin hasela hazeh notzi lechem mayim. So what happened exactly? The Rebbeinu Shem told him to do it, and this. So there's common tiktukim over here that it's kedai to be ma'ari over here. The kachas amata, when it says in the tzivoy, kachas amata v'hakel se'edo ato v'Aaron achicha v'dibartam el hasela leinehem. That's not how it's supposed to be. You don't dibartam el hasela leinehem. You dibartam el hasela le'ozneihem. Be'ozneihem. And also, v'nosan meima v'hotzeiso lehem mayim min hasela. It's a little fatapul lashon over here. Nosan meima v'hotzeiso lehem mayim min hasela. So B'kitzur, I wanted to think again, just exactly what we see is that if we're talking about regular stam, they were doshtik, they wanted mayim, they needed the Parshas. You can't go without mayim. So what was the taina from Moshe Rabbeinu? What was exactly the Shimu Noah Hamarim Hamin hasela hazeh? So Rashi says, like we said, you just said before, Lefisha lo hoya makirin also, that they didn't recognize which seller it was. Fisha holach hasela v'yoshel lo bein hasloim k'shtadlik a bear, which is mamash a pella, like. It's come out an impossible, again, it's like an impossible to learn pshat, pasha pshat. We didn't know Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't make mistakes. There's no mistakes. You understand? So all of a sudden now that he doesn't know, the fisha halach hasel v'yashel lo bein hasloim k'shnastalik a bear, all right, so lama zagen azeh, v'hoya Yisrael armi b'lehem, ma lechem me'ez hasel ta'tzir lo nobayim. What's a seller? What's the difference? What seller? You take a seller and then bring forth water. What's the problem over here? The kach amar lehem amarim sarbonim. You guys are sarbonim. Lashon yavani shotim. Marim es marehem hamir asela hazesh lo stavinu alav natzi lechamayim. So that's what Moshe ben Asani. I didn't have a CV for this. How you say you showed him? So what's a possible? How can we just a little bit push it something to understand this? So I was thinking the pshat is that obviously what Klal Yisrael turning is Hashem said kaviyok kol yochol. So we're thirsty. This is like a bekuach nefesh digga matzav, like people. It's very concerning. So you, again, if you don't recognize which soul, so take a different soul. It doesn't. There's no difference in the Rebbeinu Shalom. Please, I mean that you can do whatever you can do whatever you want. It's the Rebbeinu Shalom is a kavi yochel, a kol yochel. I mean that's they can do. It makes no sense to be mitzamtzim. It can only come from this cellar. Doesn't what kind of sense is there to that? So it's nice to have a toiner, so take a different cellar. It's good. You want to use that cellar, no problem. But you can't find that cellar, so use that different cellar. Whatever. I mean, what's it? So it doesn't make sense. If inside Moshe Rabbeinu, he doesn't know which cellar it is, and inside the Klal Yisrael, they seem to have a fair toiner. The B'shara said, so take a cellar. It has to come from a cellar, so take a different cellar. What's up? The Rebbeinu Shalom says?
The same way it has to come from a cellar, it has to come from Yemen.
Why?
Because that's what the Rebbeinu Shalom said.
Yeah, but the Rebbeinu Shalom didn't say it has to come from this cellar. The Rebbeinu Shalom told take the cellar and the B'atam the cellar and that's it. Finished. Just so their toina is that gerecht. If you know that this is the right cellar, so take I'm asking you take that. There's a tzivoy and this particular cellar, no problem. But what are we weighing here? You have two options. You have two options. Either we have people that are mamish have no water. They need water to live. It's Parshas Chaim Chayusa. Mamish is nageh to mamish Chaim. And you have it in Matzah, but the Pshara says that you don't know which cellar the Rebbeinu Shalom told you to take. So if you don't know which cellar, if you know which cellar, take that cellar. If you don't know which cellar, take a different cellar. What's wrong with that? What's to have a toiner? It's it's a pekuach nefesh. You got to do something. It's Parshas pekuach nefesh. Reminds me that I usually don't like mice, whatever. But I heard from a person that was there. So in one of the last Knesset Gedolas, the last one that the Chavetz Chaim was in. So he got up to darshan. He was very old. And he darshan that just like a person has chiyuv to be meiser his money, so too he has to every bacher, every yeshiva man should go meiser his man and go out into the darfluch and teach Torah. So you should have you give your time and teach Torah. So after the Chavetz Chaim left, then he left, whatever. So then comes back, and all the Rosh Yeshivas get up there and they say Mechilas Kvod, the Ram Tairos of the Chavetz Chaim. But some choice, Yeshiva B'lachim belong in Yeshiva. There's a Blachdish, going to be Makarev outside and stuff like that. And it's just Chavetz Chaim heard that this would. Have you heard this? The Chavetz Chaim heard that that's what they said about him, about his psak. So he said he requested to speak again, the same time, same afternoon. He came back. He says, I heard from the Rosh Yeshivas that they come with me with the tainas from the Torah Nevi'im and Ksuvim Rayas that the Kagan there. He says, I'll tell you one Maisa, another Maisa. I'll tell you another Maisa. It's Harap Allah Maisas, Allah tainas. What was the Maisa? The Pshayla said there was a what was the head of the there we go. I wasn't planning on saying the Maisa, whatever. But all right. But the what's the head of the start there with the guy the pirates. The pirates was So the pirates says it comes into one of his darfluch, and he sits and they machabed him and give him a tea and this, and he sits down, he drinks the tea. He spits it out. It's full of mud and this. He says, "You're making fun of me." And he says, "No, Adonai pirates. We're not making fun of you. This is our water. Our water is the vasa is all filled with silt and stuff like that. It's one's vasa." So the pirates in his magnanimous mood, he takes out tells him, it says here's whatever 1,000 rubles, 2,000 rubles, whatever. Go make yourself a filtration system. and only use the filtered water from now on. You won't have to use any other water. They made a filtration system, and the water was going pristine. Poland Springs. It comes a few months later. He says, "I ran a fire, a sreifa in the in Stadt, and the whole thing burnt down." What was the meister? They were only using. He told them only to use the filtrated water. So that by the time they filled it up a bucket, the whole thing burnt down. It was. So they told the parents, "What do you mean? You see how ungrateful these people are? You built them a filtration system and this, and they go and this is their hakar satav. They let the place burn down." So the parents comes in. He's Stephen comes into the shtar and says, "People are unbelievable." Ungrateful. They said, "What do you mean, Adonai Paris? You told us only use the filtrated water. By the time we got a bucket of water, it was the whole place burnt down already." Zok the Paris. He says, shout him. He says, when it's burnt the fire, menos jede Zach was man kann. He says, the fire is burning. You go take a bucket or whatever, garbage water, not water, whatever it is. Go and use it. He says, that's what I'm talking about. But it's burnt a fire. He says, you're right. Yeshiva brachim prolonged yeshiva. Aber it's burnt a fire. When it's burnt a fire, menos jede Zach was man kann. That's what it Meister show you. So anyway. So here also, this is what they're doing. Klai Yisrael, Taina. We want water. We have no water. This is very schwer. Matzah, bekuch nefesh dige matzav. And Moshe Ben was turning, look, but I have to figure out which way to get the water first. And this, so what do? You tell him, go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom. Go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom. It takes 2 seconds. Moshe Ben has a direct line. Go ask the Rebbeinu Shalom which steiner is the cellar that I get the water from, that's also, but so it takes 15 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever. It's direct line, no problem. So that's what they're timing. Yes, but Benetah, who's 15 seconds of pekuach nefesh? You don't wait 15 seconds. You don't wait 20 seconds, whatever it is, a half a minute. You don't do that. You go right away and you use whatever you can. So you take a different steiner. What do you mean? The Rebbeinu Shalom Kol Yochel can do anything you want. There's nothing. There's no problem with it. And you're officially doing a cellar, you're taking water from the cellar, so what's the difference? So that's what's going on. So was Taina the Moshe Beno. So the Moshe Beno was going to Taina the Mitzvah Sheni. He says, listen, he says, you think this is Pekuach Nefesh, he says, but you don't understand the Chaim Chiyusa of a person, the Chaim, the Etzem Metzias of a person is only through the Tzivoy Hashem. This is Madregas Mo, that's Moshe. Moshe is the Tzivoy Hashem, that's how we live. We live with the Tzivoy Hashem. So the Pshas said then he was machrir. It's Kedai, not the 15 whatever. Again, whatever. I'm giving it could be a bad mashal. 15 seconds in order to go with Mevara, which that was the whole siksuk over here. The whole siksuk was a matter of, let's say, 15 seconds of what just to be Mevara. What's it? They tied not and he tied it yet, and that was what's going on. Not a pshat, whatever. Obviously, when we talk about like the Gemara Bekama, when we talk about the Mayim, we're talking about Torah. When we're talking about Mayim, we're talking about Torah. That's why this whole parsha only starts. Why? Because when Miriam was nifter, she was nifteris. So when Miriam was nifteris, so then the Gemara says in Tainus, we all know in the Gemara in Daf Ta'esta, B'schus Miriam was the Bear Miriam. So the Bear Miriam is the pshat that it was nostalgic. And that was the cellar that we're talking about over here. So what happens is the pshat, what's like the bavusta ma'isa with the, again, I never do this, but the Arizal with his tal, with the Chaim Vital, he had a schwer to verstanden the Arizal Shiurim, let's say the terrorists, and the pshat say, he told him go get a drink from the Bear Miriam, and the pshat then also you'll be able to verstehen the ganze Shiur. And Kakavi he went, and then however he saw in the Kinneret, he saw the simon for the Bear Miriam, and then that was Kakavi. So the Bear Miriam, what we're talking about, when Klai Yisrael again had this Bear Miriam for 40 years, the pshat we're talking about Hasogas Torah. We're talking about the Hasogas, a nifla of the Torah. That's what's going on here. So hasogas niflu of the Torah. So that's what happens when Klal Yisrael, when Miriam was nefteris and the Pshat was Staluk Eber. So the Gemara says later it came back because of Beschus Moshe and Aaron, but right away it was Nestaluk Eber. So was is gefällt? It's gefällt not this Wasser. It's gefällt hasogas Torah. Tremendous hasogas Torah. That's what they were misroim about. They were the misroim about. They were misroim. This is the gefällt the tremendous hasogas of Torah we're listening. So I think it's fair. I'm not stretching it, but that's what we're going on. What I asked you before is if it depart to Melasela Le'Nehem, the Rebbeinu Shalom tells them Le'Nehem, and you don't depart to Melasela Le'Nehem, you depart to Melasela, El Hasela Le'Oznehem, Be'Oznehem. So what's Le'Nehem? Because that's madregas of Har Sinai. That's what they were turning. We want the mishtoma mishtokek to madregas Har Sinai. They thought they had the Ber Miriam and they were zocha to mamish tremendous hasogas and this. And now all of a sudden it's nostalgic to Ber Miriam. So the Pshat, so there was a venigam hasogas. So the Pshat said it was unbelievable. They didn't know what they were beyond themselves. They wanted to tzarek some madregas from the Hamakas Atara from Ber Miriam. So of those zok that the Rebbeinu Shalom kakas and matav akos eido ato v'yaron achicha v'dibartem asel le'einehem. I say punkt das even v'Har Sinai. Punkt das even dibartem the dibor was le'einehem. They saw the dibur. That's what the Rebbeinu Shalom says. That's what they were mevakish. Klal Yisrael mevakish. We're talking about a different story here. You read it, you think, it's like the complainers and this and this. No, this is these were people that were mevakshim. They wanted to go to the Har Sinai. They wanted the Har Sinai. They were the hamshach from Har Sinai. That's what the terrorist Har Sinai. That's what they were wanting. So Mamela Pshat goes, but a diuk that from Pasuk Aleph it says Kol Ha'eda. Rashi explains that this is the Kol Ha'eda means the Pshat is that there was a shleimus that there was nobody from the door that were that were nifter, the door of Midbar that were nifter, by the Maisa from the Maisa Raglin. And 20 psukim later, Rashi says Kol Ha'eda. He says they were shleimim and they were ruim likna leikonis laaretz and of them zok state chaim kulchem hayam. Sounds like the individuals who were the madregas. What happened to madregas? Because over here there was a beer. Look at them. These are madregas. These are tzaddikim. There was no tainted. There was no punishment. There was no onish on Klal Yisrael that they were. If you can't do it, involved in B'nakshim. What did they want? They wanted Le'neim. They wanted this Maisa from Ber Miriam. They wanted to verstanden the Torah. They had. So that's I go to Bakosha. They were asking. So I would say, so what did Moshe Rabbeinu tell? What was Moshe Rabbeinu's taina? He held that they were, in Pasuk Yud, that Pasuk Ches, the Rebbeinu Shalom tells them Le'neim, and Pasuk Yud he says that you guys are Shimu no Hamarim. Shimu no Hamarim. Shimu no Hamarim. You guys want Le'neim. You people want you want to have and be able to see the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu says Shimu no Hamarim. The Halnish by Zeh. The Halnish by the Vayi, the Halnish by that Madrege from Har Sinai, even though du hast gemeint that the gewaltige hasogas of Torah that Klal Yisrael are experiencing with the Ber Miriam. So and again, we're talking about a generation that's from Amos Kamad. All of them weren't by Har Sinai. These are the children that of the people that were by Har Sinai. So that's what he's finding. He says the mangst that this is mamish the madrege from Har Sinai. That's what you're mavakshim. You think you're madrege, you're the madrege from Torah from Har Sinai. He says no. So he wants to. Moshe Rabbeinu says you're in gewaltige madreges, a tremendous madreges, but the maintenance this is Har Sinai Torah. This is not mamish Har Sinai. So it's not mamish Har Sinai. So Rav Shach said that's what Moshe's emes. Moshe's Rabbeinu Moshe is telling him, listen, This is gewaldig and wonderful and stuff like that, but you're not. Don't make this the doses mamish the Teres Har Sinai. So if it's not the mamish the Teres Har Sinai, so that's why he did not want to concede. The pshat is that here I'll give you from the Be'er Miriam, and you should go on and think that you're Hasagas HaTorah or Hasagas HaTorah from Har Sinai. It's nifla. It's the mamish nifla adbad. Is eine gerechte with my vakshin nifloim. Mashenken, but Moshe Rabbeinu says, yeah, but you can be mavakish a certain madregas and certain things, but you're not exactly by that 100%. You can kiss the fragment. What?
They were zeichet to tell Miriam that.
I just told me they're not like that. You told me that the Baruch Shem to be talked about some the ein neihem that's mamish like a bechinas Har Sinai and stuff like that. Yeah, like. V'nosan meimov v'hotzeisel lehemayim. What's the top of the lashon? No, there's a certain madrega, a certain mechitza over there. It's not 100%. You people don't think that it's the Bartamel Salav and Hoseisel Hamayim. What do you do? Nosam Eimov Hoseisel Hamayim. No, it's once a little bit of a removal that the Rebbeinu himself was when he was Matzava that you should take from the Be'er Miriam. Says Saritzim madregas from Be'er Miriam. Aber das ist nicht Har Sinai. So those good things are coming to Moshe, V'yakilu Moshe v'Aaron as a call up Pnei Asal v'Yamol them Shimu no Amar. No Shimu, you people, we are on the Madrega from Shimu no. Right now we're not by Har Sinai. We're now even though they say that the Madrega from the Mishkan was like the Har Sinai was the dogma for Har Sinai, but that dogma is a dogma from Har Sinai. Even Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get direct the dibur from the Rebbeinu Shalom except through the Aaron. You understand that's only a dogma. So he wanted to upend. The Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to upend this idea that you mamish because Moshe emes with madregas nifloim of unbelievable madregas that some tell you is like I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of what this and that, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the madregas nifloim of what's going on here of a saga satira that they zam gemeint. Yeah.
So what was their time back?
They didn't find it back.
They didn't know the rock.
What?
Find another rock.
Yeah, because why? What was their tiny back? What do you mean?
Moshe tells them.
Yeah.
Right, and they said
that
them that you're not laying name, your boss name, right?
Right.
And then there's
so what happened? What happened now at the end? How did the Firos, the Zach, whatever? So that's what Rashi says. Po Mayim, he hit it Pai Mayim. He says Lefisha Berishonu LaHotzi Al Latipin. The first klapin only came out tipin. Why? So then different the Rashi. Lefisha Lo Tziva Hamakam LaHakasa. The Rebbeinu Shalom never told Moshe Rabbeinu to hit it. He dibartam elasela. He told him dibartam elasela. He didn't tell him to hit it. So, but Ella vi dibartam elasela. V'heima dibru elasela acher v'lahotzi. And the Rebbeinu Shalom had to. There was like a. Sorry, there was no. You understand? Both sides are correct. There was no way out of it except that we asked the kasha. What do you mean? A tremendous kasha. How did Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't make mistakes? But in this case, there was no alternative. In this case, we're verstehen this nicht, but the Moshe Rabbeinu was perfect, 100% perfect. Elamai, so it's perfect. So but they had the richtige time. They meant the gemein ends. They thought that this was mamish Har. They thought that they were with the Be'er Miriam. They were mamish Har Sinai, like mamish. You understand? And even though Moshe Rabbeinu is telling you, Hamarim esmarecho. You're coming to teach the teacher. I'm telling you that the business, the house is by that. That's not exactly the madregas Har Sinai. It's close. It's very close. It's v'hishkir. That's v'nasan beimov. It's dibad name v'nasan beimov v'hotzeisel lehemayim. It's taka close, very close, but it's not taka the exact manner. So the only way that the Rebbeinu Shalom was masaveh was the pshat that Moshe Rabbeinu should talk to the wrong thing, to the wrong seller. And therefore that's why it wasn't Motzi as a Mayim. Amru Shemet Tzarek Lachas Cweiber Shlit. So Moshe is a wonder. What do you mean? He understood what seller. The Pshat said it was the wrong. He talked to the wrong seller, so he hit it. And then when Rashi says it was Nizdamin, the Kisa Betzor, but Nizdamin Lehem also Salah V'Kol. And then when he was about to hit it, was that one which he talked to, which was the wrong one, switched. They made a switcheroo in the Pshaz, and then became was the right cell. So he hit the right cell, but he hit the right cell, but he hit it and didn't speak to it. So he talked to the wrong cell and he hit the right cell. So the Pshaz and Mela, that was the only combination. That was the only Heichatimsa. The Pshaz that and the Wasser is Geschwung in the Wasser. That's how it happens. So Raus Geschwung in the Wasser means that there was Taka had that now back to Gewaldige Madregas, to tremendous Hasogas of terror. Tremendous Hasogas of terror. It's ungesprecht with Wasser, that's so Gewaldig. But it's not given. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu Moshe was teaching. Why was Moshe Nefesh for that? So what was the Taina then? So what was the Taina? Abba Zesa was gewaldig gesagt. They're going to gerecht, and Moshe Rabbeinu was gerecht. They had a little misconception of those. We're talking about the day. We're talking about giants. We're talking about people that were the Hamakas of terror. This was a schleps with them. But Moshe Rabbeinu, the MS, Moshe MS. It couldn't be. I don't want you to think that this mamish the Madrega from Hasina. It's a bissel, almost. So of them. So what was the Gvanataina? Because that's what he says. But Yom Hashem al Moshe ve'alaron Yan lo hemantim bi lahagdisheni. The pshat is lo hemantim bi. What was the kliyas? What were they asking? They had this such tremendous the chukah from Islavis and Das Hashem, almost like last week when we were talking about the Abbas Hashem, the mitzvah Abbas Hashem is mechayev a person. He has to go the hamakas Torah and the floors of Torah and he runs around. He has to go out. There was unbelievable chukah that that was their amunah. They were complete amunah in the Ribbon Shalom. The complete amunah in the Ribbon Shalom. If you complete amunah, that was their machmas, their amunah. They were talking like that. They didn't have any to know better. So Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to correct a minute biscuit again. We're talking about people that were in the minute. Whatever we're talking about was minute of the minute over here. This was the dakish of dakish over here. So dakish v'dakish. That was pure amunah. There was a pure amunah. So Moshe Rabbeinu hit it, and the Bartamel says so it's geshokeled. It's geshokeled the amunah right now. You didn't allow the amunah to go and they believed the shalom. The pshat is in this idea. The pshat is the terror that this the hasokas. There's nothing. No hasokas. No hafsakas of the Torah. Heman to be, that's what the Taina was. Ya'an lo heman to be like the Sheni. You didn't allow Moshe Rabbeinu, for reasons that Moshe Rabbeinu paskin, that I can't. I can't allow you to have that, and even a mashu of a misconception of the hamakas of the madregas of Torah Sinai. But that's Haman to be like the Sheni. You understand what unbelievable madregas. Haman to be like the Sheni. Le'enei b'nei Yisrael. That's why you can't go into Eretz Yisrael. You can't go into Eretz Yisrael because this is a taina. There was no. That's what I'm telling you. We're steering free from chet. You understand? I understand chet different than you understand chet. And this is a different chet. This is chet. This is not bekushim chet. This is our talking about. Rayonas of chet that anybody would look at it. It's mitzvah rabbah. It's a mitzvah rabbah over here. But by Moshe, it's a man to be the sheni. There was a certain holding back of their amunah. That the pshat is they thought this was a Har Sinai experience. They thought it was a Har Sinai Hamshach of Har Sinai. So the pshat of Moshe Rabbeinu tell no, it's almost. That's and the only way to mistaviv that is that they come out like he talked to the wrong cell and he hit the right one. You understand? So the pshat that was the only way. It was nifla, and this is the ganze esek over here. So Mamela, that's what Rashi says later. That's they call later. There was shleimin. There was a chaim kulchem ma'atmat veikim b'Hashem el keichem chaim kulchem hayom. That's what it's talking about. All right.
Would the Bnei Yisrael have been margish if Moshe didn't tell them, would they have been margish?
No, don't forget. That's why they weren't asking something wrong. They were.
No, but I said, would they be margish?
No.
That is less of a dark.
No, how were they supposed to be margish?
And that's why you couldn't.
So that's why you had to tell them.
That's what he had. That's what he had to tell him. Sarbonim, Mary Mesvarecho. You're trying to, listen to me. I'm telling you, exact there, Zach, which is, they themselves were asking for tifkai. They were asking for hamoka from Bakshe Emes. There's the door there. The Rashi says later they were mamish chaim kul chamiyam. They were mavakshe. They were no bigger than this is the greatest. The greatest one ever. But Afal Pikein, Moshe Rabbeinu had felt that he had to do whatever he had to do in order to 100% emes, not 99.9%. That had to be 100% emes, and that's the Torah.
Because we're told Moshe Rabbeinu with the Bar to Marcel.
Lei Nehem, yeah.
Lei Nehem, saying so that was there was a Tzivah Hashem.
There was a Me'ain Madregas Har Sinai.
Right.
Yeah, but so that's what Lei Nehem. That was mamish what they wanted. Right. They wanted Roas and Ishma. Right? That's what they thought the Rebbeinu Shem was saying. But the Rebbeinu says v'nosen meimah v'hotzeisel lehemayim. The Rebbeinu Shem didn't say it was mamish going to be the Har Sinai, mamish Har Sinai. Right. It was going to be a bit removed. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell them. They thought they were getting 100%. This is Mamush Gan Agency. We have about Miriam and then Hamakas Ater and unbelievable things. And again, we have no idea what's going on here. I have trouble with Baba Kama. I mean, what's going on. But there's a Mamush gehalten they gewollt, Mamush gewaltige Madregas here. The Spitz Madregas. That's why Rashi says later they recall the Eidah was Chaim Kul Chaim Hayom Atvei B'Hashem Elokeichem. Of them zog this is what it says in there. But Moshe Emes, the Richtige, the Emes that had 100% Emes, they couldn't be. He couldn't allow them to think such a thing. So whatever you want to call it, but that's Dozayach from just Poshet, it's not Gedash. Maybe it is, but I don't know. But whatever. This is. We know what Maim is. The Torah. We know the Dardei. You can't get out of it. This is not guys that want milkshakes over here. You understand that this is not guys. We're talking Mamish. We're talking Flogim and Madregas and Elyonim that are like unbelievable. But the B'shas, but Rabbeinu Moshe comes out that it's perfect. We're not, it's Kvara b'mkama munach, but Afal Pikein, the Rabbeinu had it, but you verkilled a bissel the Amun over there. You verkilled a bissel the Amun over there. They thought it's 100%. This is Mamish. This is Gan Eden. Ponim al ponim. The B'shas, they mamish had it with the Bear Miriam, they did.
They should have allowed them. The chet was they should have allowed them to.
No, there was no. That's I'm telling you. I don't want to. You got away from the chet.
So why didn't he go into Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu? Not because of that.
Because of this, yeah. Because of this. Because out there, if you killed Abyssal, the Amunah of Yisrael, the Amunah of Klal Yisrael. So B'shas said, "That's a mida kaveh these things. This is not even a terrorist. Something wrong. If you go through the Mefarshim, we started off. You go through the Mefarshim. The R Chaim brings down 10 different pshatim. And Chedi brings, he says they knocks them all away. The Ramban knocks away 3, and Ben Ezra knocks away another 3, and he knocks away the other 4. He it's schwer to verstanden. Like I said, it's impossible to get involved in it. You understand? I mean, I'm not holding by that. You understand that?
So this is your second shot on it.
Huh?
So this is your second shot.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, all right. Maybe next week will be a third shot, but right now. Okay, but this is the fish is that's